This is a special notice. Public participation accessibility for the April 13th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting. Pursuant to Executive Order N-29-20, executed by the Governor of California on March 17th, 2020, and as a response to mitigating the spread of coronavirus known as COVID-19, the regular meeting of the Planning Commission scheduled for Tuesday, April 13th, 2021 at 6 p.m. will allow members of the public to participate and address the Commission during the open session of the meeting via teleconference only. Thank you.
All right, we'd like to start our City of Paramount Planning Commission for the 13th. Is that right? Sorry, guys. 6 p.m., 6 o'clock.
Is your mic?
Can you hear me? Okay, there it goes. It was on. I guess I was just.
Hello.
We'd like to start our Planning Commission meeting today at 6:01. We all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Put your right hand over your heart.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of commissioners.
Commissioner Bautista?
Here.
Commissioner Gutierrez?
Present.
Commissioner Weisenberger?
Here.
Commission Vice Chair Esparza?
Here.
Commission Chair Abrego?
Here. Approval of minutes for March the 9th, 2021. Negative approval or review and approval.
Make a motion to approve. I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Roll call.
Commissioner Bautista?
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez?
Yes.
Commissioner Weisenberger?
Yes.
Commission Vice Chair Esparza?
Yes.
Commission Chair Abrego?
Yes. Any public comments?
No public comments.
No. All right, move on to new business. Conditional use permit number 903. We have a request by Fuzzy and North America LLC to operate a warehouse distribution business specializing in pet apparel and related products at the 7731 Somerset Boulevard in the M2 heavy manufacturing zone.
Thank you, Chairman Abrego and Commissioners. This item is a request for a warehouse use that distributes pet apparel and related products, and this would be located in an industrial park at 7731 Somerset Boulevard, and Planning Intern Christian Santana will give you the details.
Thank you, John. Good evening, Chair Abrego and Commissioners. Tonight we're presenting conditional use permit number 903 for Far's Yard North America LLC. This application is a request by Fuzz Yards North America LLC to operate a warehouse distribution business specializing in pet apparel and or related products at 7731 Somerset Boulevard in the M2 heavy manufacturing zone. The applicant is requesting to operate this warehouse business specializing in pet apparel, accessories, and other related products. Products stored will include pet apparel and accessories such as walking harnesses, cross body bags, neckties, bandanas, feeders, and pet toys. They also are intending to store pet hygiene products such as pet shampoo and conditioner. Here is an aerial map of the site. The 8.59 acre site known as the Somerset Business Center is developed with 5 multi-tenant buildings. The proposed location consists of a 14,243 square feet of leased building space. The property was constructed in 1990 and is located on the north side of Somerset Boulevard between Paramount Boulevard and Gwen Crest Street. The location is also directly south of the Rob's distribution business, and the proposed suite is outlined in red. The business will have up to 2 employees Business operations are proposed for Mondays through Fridays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and the business will have up to 2 monthly outgoing shipments and 1 monthly incoming shipment that will both consist of 20-foot box trucks. And here's a floor plan of the interior of the suite. Here is a view looking east. And here is a view of the interior. The applicant has began to import their inventory, but they have not begun any operation. And lastly, staff recommends approval of resolution number PC 21004, as well as conditional use permit number 903. Additionally, the applicant has requested 2 of the following conditions be reworded. Condition number 24 and condition 30. For condition 24, the applicant has proposed rewording the phrase to, quote, delivery vehicles shall unload within the interior of the industrial park. Truck parking, stopping, loading, and unloading are prohibited on public streets and alleys, end quote. And for condition 30, quote, trucks are prohibited from overnight parking except within the loading dock of the truck wells, quote, end quote. And staff has no issues with these adjustments. Any questions?
I have a question.
I have a question
Go ahead,
after the chair.
Go ahead, Luis.
Yeah, I just like, the question is, can you go over how many trucks are actually going to be parked, or the possibility? Just my concern is that they overload it with 18-wheel trucks too.
Well, the applicant proposes 2 monthly outgoing shipments as well as 1 incoming shipments. The size of the trucks that they are expecting their inventory to arrive would be on 20-foot box trucks, and they are proposing to have 1 of those trucks within the truck well for overnight storage.
Okay, that's all my question. Thank you.
Can you go over item or the 24 again? It's just when I was listening to you, it almost sounded the same that's shown on here, right? Is it the same? Or am I missing something? The delivery vehicles shall unload within the property interior. Truck parking shall not take place. Prohibited on public streets, right?
Yes.
Difference. I got the change on the 30. It says except.
So they're replacing the word property with industrial park. So instead
okay.
of property interior, it would be the industrial park
Oh, okay, so they can park at a different
location
load.
on site.
Okay. Fine. Any questions from commissioners? Okay, this is a public hearing. Do we have anyone that's in favor or opposed?
Nobody in favor or opposed.
Okay. Can I get a motion to close this public hearing for the conditional use permit number 903?
I'll move to close.
I'll second it.
We have a first and a second.
Commissioner Bautista,
Yes?
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Weisenberger,
Yes.
Commission Vice Chair Esparza,
Yes.
Commission Chair Abrego.
Yes. Okay, the next item, or we need a motion to adopt the Planning Commission Resolution Number PC 21004 with the revised changes to 24, changing the property interior to industrial park, and adding on number 30, adding the loading bay as a place where the truck can stay overnight. Can you get a motion on this?
A motion to approve. Second.
We have a first and a second.
Commissioner Bautista,
Yes?
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Weisenberger,
Yes.
Commission Vice Chair Esparza,
Yes.
Commission Chair Abrego.
Yes. Next item, item number 3 is zoning ordinance, text amendment number 20. This is a request to amend regulations for home guarding, including extending the applicability of these regulations to all residential zones and legal non-conforming residential properties in commercial and manufacturing zones.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. This item is something that you reviewed in 2019, and at that time you recommended approval of new regulations for home gardens to the City Council, and they adopted your recommendation. There was a provision to review the ordinance in a year to see if any changes should be made. The Council has reviewed proposed changes, and they've sent it back to the Planning Commission to craft an ordinance. So Assistant Planning Director John King will go over the ordinance with you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Commissioners. Commissioner Chair Abrego. So home gardens, and this is a focus on mostly front yard gardens and in particular edible gardens, veggies. So, and again, to recommend to the Council adopting zoning ordinance text amendment, amending regulations for these home gardens. Citywide, all residential areas, any property with a permitted home. So let's call it the home gardening ordinance. It was adopted by the City Council following the Planning Commission recommendation, as Mr. Carver mentioned, November 2019. And it was actually a suggestion of the Planning Commission to have the a one-year follow-up. The Council liked that idea. They to take it as a review of what happened during that year. Were there any issues? Kind of like a pilot program, and then from there, see if there's any need to expand these home gardening opportunities. And so we did take it back December of last year, and then again in March for just a little more information. The City Council provided some feedback up front during their study sessions. It was a good, really good discussion. And just kind of a recap, and a lot of these are kind of common sense, but benefits of gardening: you get fresh food, preserve open space, and it's a testament to community resilience and a strong community. Encourages healthy eating habits. You have less chemicals. You grow it at home. It's whatever you put in your own soil, and then it's fun. You combat hunger in general. There's some photos of some kids who enjoy the Jefferson Star Garden behind the school there. And there's some studies of how important it is to combat food insecurity, and there's a study through USC. So yeah, obviously it's who could argue against growing food? But the thing is, in the front yard. So sure, in the backyard, but there were some issues about front yard gardens. I think there's some issues of corn in particular. So in 2019, the City Council adopted this ordinance, and for one, it allowed said that you could have these planter boxes. Here's a nice one in this photo in side yards in the R1 zone. This council decided against these raised gardens in the front yard in the R1 zone in the single family areas in Paramount at the time. And but they didn't allow for it in the R2, the medium density residential, and the RM zones, the multiple family residential zones. Also in non-conforming residential areas in commercial and industrial zones. So as we know, you can go right up Paramount Boulevard. You could find some houses where it should be, well, by these days we would only approve commercial types of businesses, commercial businesses and buildings. But there's some houses, and then in the industrial area there are a number of homes kind of sprinkled about. So they allowed, the council said, why not? Let's go for gardening, veggies in the front yards in those areas. They did put in some restrictions on the height, and you can see here they put a maximum of 3 feet for the planters and a height of the plants at 3 feet above that. And they required some maintenance. So, in the off season, you might have some issues. So they wanted to make sure that these properties looked okay. They had started off with a maximum area of 24 square feet in the front yard. So here's just what 24 square feet theoretically looks like. So with this follow-up a year later, they took a look. There've been no incidents, no problems, no neighborhood disputes or anything like that. It's, gardening's gardening. And here's what the council recommends up front. They would like not only greenhouses to be allowed in backyards. They looked at the concept of hoop houses. Hoop houses are kind of like a greenhouse, but shaped like a hoop. I'll show a photo in a moment. They're okay with that. It's a little minor, and as long as they said, well, we just want to make sure they look good and they're maintained, so we put in some language for that. They decided it's okay to expand these front yard gardens into edible gardens into the R1 zone, single family area, and PDPS zones, planned development with performance standards. So those are some of the more recent housing developments, like across from the post office on Somerset and Texaco, behind Home Depot. Those are some examples of PDPS zones. And more basically doubling the size, a little bit more than doubling from 24 square feet to 50 square feet of these raised gardens. There are no rules now about composting. The city council thought it'd be a great idea to encourage composting, taking some certain types of food discards where you put them into your soil basically and get some healthier soil. So they like to encourage garden compost, but making sure that there's some storage requirements. So that's the summary, and I'm zipping right through there. Then I have a photo of a hoop house, and for Commissioner Bautista following along without a visual, you could just kind of imagine that it's just kind of an arched shape. You take some tubing or and stretch some. Typically, it's this plastic material around it.
I'm actually Googling something, so I kind of get a little visual.
That's great. So on the spot, you kind of see that. So they're I guess they're getting more and more popular, or I guess they've always been around. More or less always.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. You're welcome. And then on the next slide, I have just a zoning maps. This is a map of Paramount, the different colors of all the different zones. And just the point here is just to show that we're adding the R1 zone. And in this map, the yellow area, the brighter yellow is the single family residential areas. You can see that it takes up a lot of area in Paramount. So a lot of area where it would be possible. The next slide shows a visual of expanding from the 24 square feet to the 50 square feet. So doubling that size. And then composting, just encouraging composting with storage requirements. And the idea for that is you want to have a composting bin. You want to prevent any issues of odor, even visibility. You want to make sure it's in the back, and that you don't want any infestation issues. So we have some language about that in the draft ordinance. For the time frame, just to show you where we are, we had, as mentioned, there were 2 city council study sessions about this topic. We don't always do that, but sometimes when certain topics in this case, it was the city council's direction. They wanted to review this up front on the front end. So, which makes our job here easier. We have some guidance up front. So here at the Planning Commission, with your recommendation of the ordinance, you would go to the city council. If you approve this evening, it would go to the council May 4. And then for the introduction, and then there's a second reading, the adoption would be June 8 if they are okay at that point. So I'm back to the summary. So you have the hoop houses, you have the expansion to the R1 and PDPS zones. I should point out, the council did provide some direction. I neglected to mention it, that for the R1 zone, their recommendation is for the planning department to do that by a permit basis. They would want to make sure that there's no backyard option. They would want the planning department staff to go out to the property and see if maybe there's in the backyard, maybe there's a giant swimming pool, maybe there's no soil, maybe there's just a big giant building that has no yard at all. And if that's the case, then there's no other option than front yard. So we will call that a no-fee permit, administrative permit, not too big a deal. And we do this for other types of building issues. So not too big a deal. We'll create a form and just do a little. It's nice, actually nice to go out in the field and do things like that. So that's what they're recommending. And then again, it's expanding to 50 square feet and encouraging garden composting. So that's it. And so the recommended action is to adopt Resolution PC 21005, recommending that the City Council approve zoning ordinance text amendment number 20 for amending the home garden regulations and extending the applicability to all zones. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Any questions?
This is Commissioner Bautista. I have a couple questions.
Yes.
My first question is, can you go over the dimensions for the hoop houses again?
Oh, I'll go back to the dimensions of the garden planters.
Yeah, you mentioned a hoop house.
Oh, hoop house, yes. So they're okay. So the thought there is they're fine for the rear yard, and they would just follow the existing greenhouse requirements. So just to read from the ordinance. So if you want to just insert the word and or hoop house to this, right now the code says a greenhouse shall be located to the rear of the dwelling and 5 feet from property lines and any structure. And then the height, the maximum greenhouse height is 9 feet. And as far as maintenance, a greenhouse shall be of sturdy construction and maintained in quality condition. The criteria utilized in evaluating the condition of a greenhouse shall include, but not be limited to, torn, stained, dirty, and or faded material.
And so my next question is, are you going to send the planning department to, I mean, that's a lot of homes to keep track of.
We would, actually, we don't see it as too much of a stretch of our resources. To be honest, in the last year, we're not aware of many gardens, of many front yard gardens. Seems like at this point, residents are satisfied with the backyard. We would anticipate a few more, but throughout a year, a given year, we just see it as part of the job. Just something we would be happy to go out and take a quick look.
Thank you so much. And then my last question: what are the fees looking like at this point?
What are the? I'm sorry.
The fees?
There would be no fee. There would be a no fee permit.
No fee permit. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. This is a public hearing. Are there anyone that's in favor or opposed?
Nobody in favor or opposed?
Public, okay. Can I get a motion to close this public hearing?
I motion to close the public hearing. I'll second it.
We have a first and a second.
Commissioner Bautista?
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez?
Yes.
Commissioner Weisenberger?
Yes.
Commission Vice Chair Esparza?
Yes.
Commission Chair Abrego?
Yes. Okay, we need a motion to adopt the Planning Commission Resolution number PC 21005, recommending that the City Council approve the zoning ordinance text amendment number 20, amending sections 1704-010 definition sections 1708-020, 1708-060, 1712-020D, 1712-020E, 1712-060F, 1716-040E, 1716-040F, 1716-100E, 1744-680, and 1772-130 of the Paramount Municipal Code to regulate home gardens in the R1, R2, medium density residential, and the RM multifamily residential zones. Can I get a motion? I kept going. Sorry, guys.
That's it.
I will.
A motion, please.
I will move to approve that resolution.
Yeah,
I'll second that
first.
motion.
Do we have a second?
You did.
Yes, I'll second that motion.
Okay. We have a first and a second.
Commissioner Bautista?
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez?
Yes.
Commissioner Weisenberger,
Yes.
Commission Vice Chair Esparza,
Yes.
Commission Chair Abrego.
Yes. Next item, number 4, zoning ordinance text amendment. Number 21, a request to establish revised regulations to accessory dwelling units and adding regulations for junior accessory dwelling units in all residential zones citywide.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. This is another zoning ordinance text amendment, and this one deals with accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units. The ordinance incorporates state requirements into the Paramount Municipal Code, and Associate Planner Ivan Reyes will go into the details.
Thank you, John. I'm here to present zoning text amendment number 21 for accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units. So the request is for a zoning ordinance text amendment, ZOTA, to establish revised regulations for accessory dwelling units, ADUs, and adding regulations for junior accessory dwelling units. The state introduced a new term, which is the JADUs, and I will be going over it later on in the presentation. Since 2017, ADU laws have been revised by the state to create more housing units as a solution to the current housing availability and affordability crisis. Just to give you a background on essentially what ADUs are, there's different variations of them. As you can see at the top, for a garage conversion, essentially it's typically a detached garage that's located to the rear of the property, and it gets converted to livable space for an ADU. This also applies for garage conversions when the garage is attached to the main house. At the bottom left, we have a detached ADU. Essentially, it's a new detached building to the rear of the main house, so it's separate from the main house. You can see the blue being the main house and the pink, the ADU. And to the right, you have an attached ADU, which essentially is an addition to an existing home. All the ADUs have their own entry, and they're essentially not connected as far as getting through in the main house to an ADU for access. Here's an example of a garage conversion. As you can see on the right, top left hand is where the garage used to be. It's located in the front of the property. And when someone applies for an ADU, they go through the process here. And then on the right hand, you see that the garage door was removed, stucco was added, and a window. And it's pretty much matching to be consistent with the main house. And on the bottom picture, you have what used to be the garage is now, there's a kitchen in there. So for the housing element and the regional housing needs allocation, also known as RHNA, the housing element is a long-range plan for housing required by the state of California. It requires the city of Paramount to update the housing element in 8-year cycles. We are now on the 5th cycle, and the update will be part of the 6th cycle. It is important because it ensures the city complies with state law. It allows the city to become eligible for state funding and grants, and the ability to meet future housing needs. As far as RHNA is concerned, RHNA quantifies the need for housing within each jurisdiction during specified planning periods. In this case, the ADUs and JADUs will satisfy the RHNA housing needs. So for 2020 and 2021 summary, essentially it's been effective since January 1st of this year. These are pretty much the goals that the state law is intending. So changes to the ADU laws further reduces barriers. It streamlines the approval process, expand capacity to accommodate the development of ADUs and JADUs, and the local ordinance must be consistent with the state law. On the left hand, you have the California Department of Housing and Community Development, also known as HCD. They provided a handbook. Essentially, we use this to guide us to the proposed local ordinance that we're about to introduce. So, moving into the proposed ordinance. So for JADU, as I mentioned before, this is a new term that was introduced with all the changes. So for a junior accessory dwelling unit, it is a contained area within an existing or proposed single-family structure. One of the key differences here is that is the size requirement as opposed to compared to an ADU. It cannot be no more than 500 square feet in size. So on the left here, we have a picture of an existing home, and the JADU will be converted area within the main house. It's not considered new construction. It is just whatever existing livable space is there. Someone can convert it into a JADU. Moving on with the proposed ordinance for ADU, they are permitted in any residential or mixed-use zone that includes residential. This is a significant change from previous rules that we had here in Paramount. Before, they were only allowed in the R1 zone. As far as the number of ADUs allowed, you have different scenarios. One being in the single-family residential properties, they could have up to 1 ADU. And for multifamily residential properties, they could have up to 2 detached ADUs. The proposed ordinance also covers ADUs being ministerially approved without discretionary review or hearing within 60 calendar days after receiving a completed ADU application. This revises the time where before it used to be 120 calendar days. So that's been reduced by half. ADU and JADU are not required to have new or separate utility connections, and building code requirements shall apply to all ADUs. So now getting into the development standards of this, there's, as part of the state law requirements, there's no minimum lot size required anymore. Before, here in Paramount, we used to have a minimum lot size of 5,000 square feet, but that no longer applies. As far as ADU size, for a single family residential, they could have up to 1,000 square feet. The state law currently allows for up to 1,200 square feet, but essentially in order for compatibility in the neighborhoods here in Paramount, the 1,000 square feet will be essential. In multifamily residential, they could build up to 800 square feet ADUs. Going again, related back to the compatibility in neighborhoods, the maximum height for an ADU will be 16 feet. I know the state law allows for 2-story ADUs, but we would essentially cap it at 16 feet. The minimum 4 feet for side and rear setbacks, that's a little bit different than typical additions to any property. And for conversions of garage, carport, or covered parking spaces, they are not required to be replaced. So again, these development standards are all part of the state law changes that have occurred, and this proposed ordinance will essentially meet the state law requirements. And with that, the recommendation is to adopt resolution number PC 21006, recommending that the city council approve of zoning ordinance text amendment number 21 to establish revised regulations for accessory dwelling units and adding regulations for junior accessory dwelling units in all residential zones citywide. This concludes my presentation, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Altisa, any questions?
I do have a question. Can you go real quick about the difference in size between an ADU and a JADU?
Sure. An ADU could be built up to 1,000 square feet in our proposed ordinance. The difference with a junior ADU is that essentially it can only be area in an existing living home, single-family home. It can only be in a single-family residential, and it's only converted area, so it's not new construction, and the limit for a JADU is only 500 square feet. So that's pretty much the threshold that they could convert in a JADU.
The limit being up to 500 square feet or the minimum?
It's up to 500 square feet. That's the maximum.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
That's it.
This is a public hearing. Do we have anyone that's opposed or for? In favor?
Nobody in favor or opposed?
All right. Can I get a motion to close this public hearing?
I make a motion. Close the public hearing.
We have a first.
I'll second that.
We have a second.
Commissioner Bautista,
Yes?
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Weisenberger,
Yes.
Commission Vice Chair Esparza,
Yes.
Commission Chair Abrego.
Yes. Okay, we need a motion to approve the resolution number PC 21006. Can I get a motion?
A motion to approve.
Ms. Bautista, I'll second that motion.
Thank you. We have a first and a second.
Commissioner Bautista,
Yes?
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Weisenberger,
Yes.
Commission Vice Chair Esparza,
Yes.
Commission Chair Abrego.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is reports, oral report.
Yes, Commission Chair Abrego and Commissioners. Last week at the City Council meeting, the City Council approved a commercial rehabilitation project at 15504 to 15508 Paramount Boulevard. And this is just a little bit south of Domino's. I'm sorry, it's just south of Domino's Pizza. And you reviewed the exterior improvements several months ago and approved that. So hopefully pretty soon we'll see some construction going on there. And that's it. Thank you.
Good. Thanks, John. Next item is the comments. Any comments from our city attorney? John?
No, sir, no comments from the city attorney, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, John. Any comments from our commissioners?
No?
Luis? No? Okay.
No, thank you.
Comments from staff?
Nothing from staff.
Okay. Meeting's adjourned. Next meeting will be on May 11th, 2021 at 6 p.m.
The Paramount Development Review Board is called to order. Roll call members, please.
Board Member Abrego,
Here.
Board Member Bautista,
Here.
Board Member Weisenberger,
Here.
Board Vice Chair Gutierrez,
Present.
Board Chair Esparza.
First item is the minutes, the approval of minutes of March the 9th. I have a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the review board minutes, or development review board minutes for March 9th, 2021.
Commissioner Bautista, I'll second your motion.
Motion approved.
Board Member Abrego,
Yes.
Board Member Bautista,
Yes.
Board Member Weisenberger,
Yes.
Board Vice Chair Gutierrez,
Yes.
Board Chair Esparza.
Yes. Public comments?
No public comments.
Okay, new business is item 2, is the DRA number 21004, and that's a request by Madero and Rena Hueso to construct rear additions to the detached front and rear houses and construct a detached one-car garage at 15322 and 15324 Orizaba Avenue in the R2 medium density residential zone.
Yes,
Report.
Board Chair Esparza and board members. This item is a request to construct 2 additions to 2 homes on the same property at 15322 and 15324 Orizaba Avenue. And this is in the medium density residential zone. And John King will give you more details.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Board Chair Esparza and board members. So on to Orizaba Avenue. Again, to construct, so there's 2 houses on this property, and the applicants, the owners, would like to build just these small additions to the front house and the back house, and also build a one-car garage. And it's in the R2 zone and on a 7,500 square foot lot. This is just a photo across the street of the front of the property. Here's an aerial photo showing the property is just south of Adams, across the street from Lincoln School. And there's a little alley on the back. You can kind of see the two houses there. Have a photos. On the left is the front house. This is the back of the front house where the addition will be in this house. And on the right is a photo of the rear house taken from a side view. And I have it circled, so it's just you can see there's a little like a bite out of the building. It'll be filled in, so it'll be kind of squared off there. And that's where it's one family. Everybody's related, but there are on the back house. There's some growing children. They need a little more space there. You can all understand. The next slide is a site plan. So you'll see in blue where the existing two homes are. And you can see there's a lot of open space. So they're relatively small houses on this decent sized property. And the front house is 864 square feet. The back house is 688 square feet. And the front house, they're proposing a 132 square foot addition to the back of that. For the back house, they're proposing a 187 square foot addition to the front. And then the one car garage would be it's detached, and there's an existing driveway where it would be accessed from. You can see they still have plenty of open parking space at the back of the property off the alley. So then some elevations just showing how it all ties in together, and the color is just there for just so you could see a color. But you see from the photos before, it's more of a beige brown color on the stucco. The roofing, and I have the elevations of the back house, and the roofing would be consistent throughout 30-year asphalt composition shingle. The owners had recently pulled a roofing permit for the one of the units, so with that, it would be consistent with how they're re-roofing. And that's really it. We're recommending approval. This is an improvement to the property. You see the owners maintain the property in great condition, and it would be a good opportunity for the growing family to have more space, more personal space. Thank you.
Anybody has any questions?
No.
No. Okay, I need a motion then for the developer review application number 21004. To approve.
I make a motion. This is Board Member Jaime Abrego. I make a motion we approve the application number 21004.
I'll second that motion.
First and second.
Yes.
Board Member Bautista?
Yes.
Board Member Weisenberger?
Yes.
Board Vice Chair Gutierrez?
Yes.
Board Chair Esparza?
Yes. The third item in new business is DRA 21005. And this is a request by Michael O. Eco Consulting for 2,000 insurance service to construct a 516 square foot addition to an existing 1,709 square foot commercial building at 14800 Paramount Boulevard in the C3 General Commercial Zone. Staff, please.
Yes, Board Chair Esparza and board members. This item deals with a commercial property on Paramount Boulevard that has been vacant for many years. Historically, restaurants have operated at this site. This evening, you will review an addition to the building that will be home to an insurance office, and Christian Santana will go over this item with you.
Thank you, John. Good evening again, Chair Esparza and Commissioners. Tonight I will be presenting development review application number 21005 for 2000 insurance. So the application is a request by Michael O. of MKO Consulting for 2000 insurance service to construct a 516 square foot addition to an existing 1,709 square foot commercial building at 14,800 Paramount Boulevard in the C3 General Commercial Zone. The subject 5,662 square foot property is on the southeast corner of Paramount Boulevard and 3rd Street. As John mentioned before, the building was remodeled through the Commercial Rehabilitation Program in 2011, and since then, a number of restaurants have opened and closed throughout the duration. A change to the proposed office use will bring much needed stability to the property as well as the surrounding area. Here's an aerial view of the site. As you can see, the property is outlined in blue, the building outlined in red. The property is directly south of Paramount High School, as well as across the street from Our Lady of Rosary Parish. So the applicant is proposing to enclose a 384 square feet of the front patio area and 122 square feet of the north and south recessed wall areas. The additions will total 516 square feet for a total of 1,709 square feet of leased commercial space upon completion. The proposed renovations will consist of 3 offices, 1 conference room, a reception room, 2 restrooms, and the site contains 12 parking spaces with 1 parking space dedicated to Americans with accessibility. And the proposed addition from the front patio is outlined in red. It's the circle on the left. And the north and south recessed wall areas are in the red circle that are that's labeled niche. Here's a better picture of the floor plan. So the applicant is proposing to retain and extend existing architectural elements for the project to meet city design standards. A smooth stucco finish will match the existing structure in terms of color and texture. A new stone veneer will be included in the south-facing side of the recessed wall areas. And the applicant will retain all arches on the existing building. And here's a frontage view of the development after construction. And in conclusion, staff recommends approval of development review application number 21005. Thank you.
Any questions?
For me?
The only thing I have to say is it's going to look pretty good for that building that's been vacant for a long time. We really have. A lot of people have tried to put a business there, mostly food business, and it's never been able to do that. So it'd be pretty nice. Anyway, I need a motion in order to approve application number 21005.
This is Commissioner Bautista. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. This is Board Member Brego.
First and second.
Board Member Brego?
Yes.
Board Member Bautista?
Yes.
Board Member Weisenberger?
Yes.
Board Vice Chair Gutierrez?
Yes.
Board Chair Esparza?
Yes. Any comments from board members? Staff?
Nothing from staff?
The Paramount Development Review Board is adjourned till May 11th, 2021.
Okay, I'd like to call the Paramount Economic Development Board meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Board Member Brego?
Here.
Board Member Esparza?
Here.
Board Member Gutierrez?
Present.
Board Vice Chair Bautista?
Here.
Board Chair Weisenberger?
Here. Item number 1, approval of minutes.
Board Member Brego, I move we approve the Economic Development Board minutes of March 9th, 2021.
This is Esparza, I'll second it.
Okay, roll call, please.
Board Member Brego?
Yes.
Board Member Esparza?
Yes?
Board Member Gutierrez?
Yes.
Board Vice Chair Bautista?
Yes.
Board Chair Weisenberger.
Yes. Any public comments tonight?
No public comments?
Okay, doesn't look like there's any new business. Let's move to item 2, oral reports, please.
Yes. Board Chair Weisenberger and board members, John King will give you a oral presentation on the federal infrastructure plan.
John, Board Chair Weisberger, just really briefly, I actually don't have any slides for this. So, and this, yeah, again, it's about the federal infrastructure plan that's going to be introduced, and we don't really know where we're going to go with that. But so, bottom line is that the administration is proposing a $2 trillion infrastructure plan. They're calling the American Jobs Plan. And that's, obviously we're nonpartisan here in the city, but we do look to what's happening with the federal government and how it kind of trickles down on the economic development side. The opposition party, they're in favor of at this point, an infrastructure plan. They're saying $600 billion. So it's somewhere between $2 trillion and $600 billion is where we'll end up. There are some politics on who actually controls the levers and whether they can be done through something can be passed through reconciliation. We have a divided Congress. So what's in there? What most people agree on is there is a need to fix the crumbling highways, roads, ports, airports. Those are the basics. And then you get a high agreement on the next step is broadband. I think we had a presentation last month on the need for bridging the digital divide and having taking the United States into the future and catching up with some other countries, China for one, and others that are doing, and European countries that are doing more for their broadband infrastructure. So they're quality internet connections across the board. Then you get into other proposals that you may have less support for that will probably go away, home community care, electric vehicles that may or may not happen, more money funds for charging stations and making a change to the electric vehicle model. And then affordable housing. So there is some numbers for affordable housing, and the plan calls for building and rehabilitating more than 500,000 homes for low and middle income home buyers, offering $20 billion worth of tax credits over 5 years. And they're saying to build 500,000 additional homes. And then also they're proposing to produce, this from the administration's proposal, to produce, preserve, and retrofit more than 1 million affordable, resilient, accessible, energy efficient, and electrified housing homes. So we'll see what happens with that. So a lot of question marks. We could also probably most folks agree on and funding towards schools and certain types of federal buildings. Well, we'll keep tracking this and providing updates as they come along. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, John.
Welcome.
Item number 3, comments. Board members, any comments from our board?
No comment.
Okay, staff?
Nothing from staff.
Okay, in that case, I'd like to adjourn the meeting tonight at 6:53 p.m., and we will reconvene on May 11th at 6 p.m.